98.5 Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on what was a very eventful day and, quite frankly, a shocking day in the world of Jacksonville Jaguar news. As about, 2.5 hours ago, Calvin Ridley went from having an opportunity to be a beloved figure in this city, as I talked about last night, to being a one-year rental, which is what he was for the Jacksonville Jaguars, a one-year rental. They gave up a third-round pick and got 1 year out of Calvin Ridley as he up and leaves for the Tennessee Titans. 4 years, $92 million. $50 million of that is guaranteed, as now the Jaguars look for answers at wide receiver, and Calvin Ridley will go to Nashville to team up with DeAndre Hopkins, newly acquired Tony Pollard, Will Levis, and what all of a sudden looks like a pretty decent Tennessee Titan offense. So we'll certainly talk about that. That'll be a majority of our first hour. We will go to Nashville coming up here in less than 20 minutes. Tyler Rowland is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. Just get the reaction of Tennessee fans, Tennessee media about Calvin Ridley heading up there, and we'll go get our perspective here. Leon Searcy will join me coming up about 8:40, 8:45 or so. And where do the Jaguars go from here? And that's going to be where I start tonight, because it has not been a bad off season. It was a bad day, a really bad day. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night, and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Well, this kind of sucks, doesn't it? I said last night this offseason is going to be judged on what Calvin Ridley decides to do. If he decided to stay in Jacksonville, the free agent haul would be an overwhelming success. If he left, the free agent haul would be considered by many as a failure. And he's gone. And not only did he leave, he went to the hated arch-rival Tennessee Titans. First, to Calvin Ridley's side of this. They gave him $50 million guaranteed money. $50 million. For a guy that was never a free agent before now. A guy that missed 2 years of star NFL wide receiver income due to the suspension. He took the money. You can't blame the guy. He took the money. He's not going to win in Nashville. They're not going to compete in the AFC. Not when you have Will Levis at quarterback. I mean, they got some nice pieces, but let's be real. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, hopefully Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Tennessee's not going to win. They're going to be improved. It's going to be a much different team. We're used to Derrick Henry running it at you 30 times. They're going to throw it all over the place, it appears, with two old wide receivers. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is 30+. Calvin Ridley will be 30 later this year. But I don't fault Ridley for taking the money. In this situation, a lot of people would take the money. It's probably his last big payday of his NFL career, and he got paid by the Tennessee Titans. What sucks is it is the Tennessee Titans. I mean, of all teams, they just got rid of Derrick Henry, so we can finally root for Henry a little bit, a local kid from Yulee. And lo and behold, what do? They come take Calvin Ridley from Jacksonville. And make no mistake about it, they took Calvin Ridley from Jacksonville. By all indications, Ridley would have come back here had Tennessee not thrown gigantic dollars at him basically this afternoon, is when it happened, to my understanding. So that's the Calvin Ridley side of this. Trent Baalke. Oh, he's getting the business right now. Jaguar fans, I know you're angry. I know you're upset. But I do have a question for you. A legit question. What I said during the 2-minute drill there with Ballou, I mean. There were times this season where I heard you guys talking about Calvin Ridley being an underachiever, being a guy that doesn't know the playbook, being a guy that's running the wrong routes. I've heard things like he doesn't look interested out there. He drops the ball. How many touchdowns would Trevor have had Calvin Ridley caught the ball? You know that was a narrative. Whether you said it or not, that narrative was out there in the fan base. So what happened over the last 66 days since the season ended? Did you come to the realization like I did? And yeah, I was critical of Calvin Ridley. Absolutely. I won't deny that. But I soon realized after the season ended, you're talking about a guy that didn't play competitive football for 23 months. Comes right into a Jaguar uniform, goes for 1,000 yards, catches 76 passes, 8 touchdowns, was clearly your number one target. It's pretty good for a guy that hadn't played football in 23 months. We'll see what he does now in Nashville. Again, he's got to learn a whole new terminology, new players. I think this was a money grab for Ridley. I do. I don't think they're going to win at Tennessee. They're awfully excited up there, but their offensive line's awful. They have no resemblance of a tight end. Their defensive line has taken some losses, including Danico Autry, who went to the Texans. I don't know what they're doing at linebacker, and they have issues at safety. They have issues in Nashville. They're celebrating Calvin Ridley, and good for them. They got one over on the Jaguars, but I don't think Ridley's going to win there. I think this was a money grab. And because this was a money grab, in my opinion, do you fault Trent Baalke? Baalke tried. There's no doubt that he tried. Now, you can say, well, they should have signed Josh Allen. That way you would have been able to franchise Calvin Ridley. That's fair. But as we've talked about, right, who was going to give Josh Allen big money after last season? After a 7-sack season in 2022? I don't think we were. I wouldn't have given him big money after last season. Where I fault Baalke was when it was obvious that Josh Allen was a ferocious monster in 2023. You needed to get something done during the year. You needed to begin negotiations during the year. Whatever this stance that Trent Baalke has, that he doesn't negotiate during the year, well, that's crap. That needs to change and change now because that cost you Calvin Ridley. That is a ridiculous stance. Montez Sweat got paid during the year in Chicago. A lot of guys get paid during the year. It's absolute nonsense that you don't negotiate during the season. Give me a break. But the overall opinion on Trent Baalke is very negative right now. I would read to you a group text that I'm in with my buddies, but I don't think I can read one text that's admissible on terrestrial radio. A lot of 4, 7, and 10-letter words with Trent Baalke's name either before or after. But I don't want you to lose sight of one thing, and I'm not being an apologist. Are you kidding me? You guys have crushed me for years for being too negative. I can't tell you on Sundays during the Jaguar games how much I get absolutely lambasted by some of you on social media that I'm too negative. I'm the negative guy. So far be it for me to say anything positive, because you know I'm not sunshine and rainbows. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have still had a good offseason. I don't like the way it happened. They still got to work it out, but Josh Allen's going to be here in 2024. That was an absolute necessity. He will be here. They're better on the offensive line. Mitch Morse at center. Presumably Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland to his left. Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison to his right. I'm fine with that. Darnell Savage, younger, cheaper version of Rayshon Jenkins. A little better, maybe. Ronald Darby, I like that. That's, to me, an under-the-radar signing. I like Ronald Darby at corner, assuming he stays healthy. Devin Dumervay, probably a better, younger version of Jamal Agnew. And don't forget Gabe Davis. All right? I know you're just up in arms about losing Calvin Ridley, a guy that most of you 4 months ago were complaining about every day. Gabe Davis is here. Gabe Davis, 27 touchdowns in his NFL career before his 25th birthday. Gabe Davis, 6'2", speedster, had a 98-yard touchdown for Buffalo in 2022. 98 yards. Yeah, he never turned into the quote-unquote number one in Buffalo. You know who else didn't turn into a number one? Was Christian Kirk when he was in Arizona. And I think we're fine with him now. At the end of the day, you still have Travis Etienne, you have Evan Ingram, you have Christian Kirk, you have Gabe Davis. What does this mean now for Zay Jones? I'm not letting Zay Jones go. Not yet, not now. We'll see what happens down the road if they draft a wide receiver or bring in another veteran. But without Calvin Ridley, I'm not letting Zay Jones go anywhere. You tell me on opening day they're in a 3-wide receiver set with Etienne in the backfield, Evan Ingram at tight end, Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, and Christian Kirk. To me, you could do a lot worse than that, assuming everybody's healthy. Zay Jones was good in 2022. He was good. He wasn't any good last year because of injuries. But you could still argue 2 of the best catches for the season for the Jaguars came by Zay Jones. The touchdown against the Colts on opening day, and that crazy touchdown in London against Buffalo. Look, I'm not sugarcoating this. Losing Calvin Ridley sucks, all right? And it's going to sting and it's going to hurt. And it should, particularly because he's going to an arch rival. But the Jaguars have still done well for themselves in free agency. They've done well. They keep their second-round pick. So now they have picks 17, 48, 96. They got 5 picks in the top 117 in the draft. It's doom and gloom right now because it's so fresh. I don't think it'll be doom and gloom when OTAs and minicamp and training camp get here. And it's also made the Jaguar-Titan rivalry even spicier than probably it was before. Tennessee celebrating. They get Calvin Ridley. Let's go up to Nashville. Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast. What are the Titans saying about their newest addition? He joins me next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday in Jacksonville, Florida. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
She's local, she loves sports, and she can kick your...
Hi, boys.
Lauren Brooks.
Wow.
Maybe you should put some shorts on or something if you want to keep fighting evil today.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
Yeah, it's kind of what we do here.
92.5 FM.
The 2024 NFL season is approaching fast, and the Jaguars are celebrating their 30th season. Be at the bank for all the big plays and big moments of this milestone year by locking in your season tickets now. With packages for every budget and exclusive perks throughout the season, there's no better time to become a season ticket member. Be at the bank for every touchdown and secure your seats by going to Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 today. We'll see you at the bank.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a cheese negotiator from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Margaret Drent.
How do you like my costume, Bob? I'm Gruyere.
Well, you smell great, Margaret. But here's your question. What's wrong with your air conditioner when you hear this sound?
Oh, that's a toughie. Are you sure you don't want me to tell you the suggested retail price of a box of Rice-A-Roni?
5 seconds, Margaret.
Is it a compressor motor starter failure?
That's right, Margaret. And if you call the coolness experts at Bueller Air Conditioning, we can fix that faulty AC to make sure that you are cool.
It's surprisingly stuffy inside a giant cheese.
You signed the waiver, Margaret.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Prosser here. When it comes to the business of selling your home, there's one promise I can give you that will deliver, and that promise is ChadandSandy.com. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com. How do I know this promise is guaranteed? Because they say so and then they deliver. You see, Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. So whatever problems you think you're having selling your home, there is your simple solution. They're going to buy it if it's not sold for exactly what you want. Mortgage rates have lowered going into the spring selling season. Now is the time to maximize your equity, and you can do it with the real estate team of Chad and Sandy. They have a plan and the experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash this spring. John and Ursula in Green Meadows wrote in, we weren't in great health, decided to downsize to an easier place to manage. After 185 days, our home failed to sell. We went to Chad and Sandy, sold in 12 days. You can too at ChadandSandy.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 13, 1954, Braves' Bobby Thompson breaks his ankle during a spring training game while sliding into second base. He is replaced by 20-year-old rookie Hank Aaron.
Is your roof showing signs of wear and tear? Call Universal Roof and Contracting today to schedule your complimentary roof inspection. Right now, get $200 off your roof replacement plus flexible financing. And as a bonus, receive free wind mitigation with a full roof replacement. This offer expires March 31st and restrictions apply. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 23rd.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
All right, interesting day here in Duval County as Calvin Ridley departs for Nashville, Tennessee to join the Tennessee Titans. One of our guys when it comes to the Titans is Tyler Rowland. He is host of the Locked On Titans podcast, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tyler, how we doing?
Yeah, doing fantastic. The Titans were a little quiet on day 2, but they really did some great work on day 1 and day 3, so it's a pretty good time.
Tyler, we were stunned. I mean, all indications were it was New England, it was Jacksonville, right. And then literally, from my understanding, I mean, with less than 90 minutes to go before 4 o'clock, all of a sudden, the Tennessee Titans showed up with what obviously was a gigantic offer for Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and it was a needed move, and it's funny because the Georgia Pro Day happened today, and it was reported that the Titans were there, but then we got reporting later in the day that, you know, the Titans general manager and head coach stayed in Tennessee instead of going to the Pro Day to work on free agency stuff, and everybody was like, well, does that mean something's going to happen? What are we waiting for here? And I was basically thinking that Calvin Ridley wasn't an option for the Titans as well. I mean, like you said, the reporting was all Patriots, Jags. I honestly thought that the Patriots were kind of just a fake, contender to help Calvin Ridley's agency pump up the numbers even more. But I guess that they were looking for bigger money, and they weren't getting what they wanted from the two parties involved, and that allowed the Titans to kind of, like you said, swoop in. And as I've been saying since it happened, the Titans stole Calvin Ridley away from the Jacksonville Jaguars, in my opinion, and it puts Jacksonville in a pretty tough spot, having to give up that third-round pick for only 1 year of Calvin Ridley's services and having him go to a division opponent right across the street. It's a big win for the Titans.
Yeah, the way Balky drafts, I wouldn't put too much in that third round anyway. We're here with Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast. All right, reaction in Tennessee. It's a lot of money, Tyler, for a 29-year-old that's going to be 30 in December. What has been the early reaction up there?
Well, I think the reaction overall has been excitement because the Titans so desperately needed wide receiver help. But you're 100% right. There are people who are a little, drawn back by the contract. But from my perspective, and of course I have my two-tone glasses on, I try to be an unbiased reporter, but I am a fan of the team. So, take it all with a grain of salt. But what I would point out is $23 million AAV, average annual value, that's right in line with Michael Pittman Jr. and Terry McLaurin. And I think that Calvin Ridley is certainly as good of a player as those guys. And then you look at the guaranteed money at $50 million, that as well is between 9 and 10 in terms of ranking in the NFL. One thing that else I would say is look at the other wide receivers that are going to get paid here soon. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, C.D. Lamb. There are going to be some big-time wide receivers get paydays here in the near future in the next 6 months or so, and they're all going to make more than Calvin Ridley. So the money seems crazy right now, but in Jacksonville, you all remember when you signed Christian Kirk, and everybody was like, whoa, $21 million a year for Kirk. This is outrageous. How could they do it? And then when the other contracts started to come in, it was like, oh, that's, low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 type money. So I think 6 months from now, Calvin Ridley is going to have the 16th, 17th most expensive contract in the NFL, and I think that's right in line with where he is in terms of ranking, in terms of talent at the position. So there is the age factor, understandable there. I know they had some behind-the-scenes issues in Jacksonville with him keeping his weight up and being attentive and all that stuff, but I don't think that the money is as insane as it seems, considering the other players who are going to get to the free agency market or get their big extension here in the near month.
Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville talking about the newest Tennessee Titan, Calvin Ridley. That'll take a while to get used to. Tyler, what's the thought? Will Levis coming into year 2. We remember Trevor Lawrence. They wanted to surround him with talent. That's why they went out and got Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. Well, now Will Levis, they've given him, DeAndre Hopkins and Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and Calvin Ridley. I don't know if you guys are going to stop anybody on defense, but you might be able to score some points this year.
And I'll take it, Ryan. I'll take it. As a person who's been a fan of this team for 25 years, I am tired of the 1980s caveman football. We're going to rough you up, bring you down into the mud, 3 yards in a cloud of dust style. I'm tired. If the Titans aren't going to be a Super Bowl contender, which they've only been 2 or 3 times in my 25 years as a fan, well, then let's at least play some exciting football and score some points. But you're right when you talk about Will Levis, because not only do the Titans need to win more football games, which requires better players, but they have to really know what they have in Will Levis soon. This year, they need to know, hey, is this the guy that we're going to build around? Hey, do we maybe need to go after another quarterback? I think that Will Levis can be the answer for the Tennessee Titans, but I compared it to last year. The Tennessee Titans had terrible wide receivers, and they had a terrible offensive line. So we're hearing all these reports in training camp. Arden Key had 10 sacks today, blah, blah, blah. Well, is Arden Key good, or is the Titans' offensive line just that bad? You can't evaluate your team when you have certain things like that. So you can't truly evaluate Will Levis if DeAndre Hopkins and Nick Westbrook-Akine and Chris Moore are your 3 wide receivers. So this is about making the team better, but it's also about getting a real read on Will Levis and what he might do with real wide receivers. And although Calvin Ridley is, going to be turning 30, he's still an incredible elite separator. He had a 71% success rate against man coverage, 80% success rate against zone coverage. He's a guy who still gets open, still has great speed. I think he's still a great player. And, he missed a year and a half with the suspension and some injuries before he got traded to Jacksonville. His body doesn't have the miles on it that a normal 30-year-old wide receiver would have because he missed so much time. So I know bodies don't really work like that exactly, but in terms of the beating that he's taken as an NFL player, that's a year and a half where he didn't take that beating. So I think his body is probably a little bit younger than maybe his age says in football terms, and his skill set is still there.
Understanding this happened within the last 3 hours, so you haven't really had a lot of time to digest it, but you follow the team. Your podcast is fantastic. I tell you that, the Locked On Titans podcast with Tyler Rowland. What's the idea between he and DeAndre Hopkins, man? Who's going to be the number one target?
Well, I got to tell you, Ryan, I think number one wide receiver, all that stuff is a little overdone. I think what's more important is schematically, how did the X receiver, the Z receiver, I think those sorts of things are more important. And most people think of number one receiver, they think of that big-time X. I honestly think DeAndre Hopkins is better served to be in the slot. I think that's where his best place is, and I think Calvin Ridley, where he played a lot of X receiver for Jacksonville last year, he did have some struggles against press coverage. At his weight, he was always considered a skinny guy at, 190 pounds. So he's had some trouble with press coverage. I think having Calvin Ridley as, I guess you want to call it the number two wide receiver, but to me, there are F or Z wide receivers in the NFL that are the more productive wide receiver on their team. But I think having Calvin Ridley as that guy who's off the line of scrimmage, who can come in motion, get a little bit of a running start, try to eliminate the threat of press coverage on Calvin Ridley. I think putting him in that position and having DeAndre Hopkins be the X who's actually on the line of scrimmage on the other side of the field, I think that's the best setup. But I'll tell you honestly, Ryan, I don't think the Titans should think that they're done. If they can get Joe Alt at left tackle in the draft, do that. But if he's not there, I'm taking Rome Odunze. I'm taking Malik Neighbors. And I'm putting strength on strength. And if the Titans had Rome Odunze as their X wide receiver with Calvin Ridley as their Z wide receiver and then DeAndre Hopkins in the slot, now that's one of the best wide receiver groups in the entire NFL. And I think that would be a miraculous situation to be in for the Titans compared to rolling out Nick Westbrook-Akine, Hopkins, and Chris Moore last year.
It really is a changing of the guard. Derrick Henry was beloved in Nashville. He'll be going into the Hall of Fame one day as a Tennessee Titan, but he now goes to Baltimore, and literally the next day you make a splash for Calvin Ridley. I mean, we're so used to, like you said, Derrick Henry, 30 carries into the line of scrimmage. It looks like brand new head coach Brian Callahan, they're going to air this thing out up there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what needs to happen. You look around the NFL, and passing is how you win. Stop the pass the ball. That is what the league is now. You're always going to need to run the football. You're always going to need to stop the run. That'll matter a lot when you get into the playoffs and the months get cold. But the reality here is, under Mike Vrabel, the Titans scored 17 points or less 3 out of his 6 years. Like, you're just not going to win enough games. You're just not going to make the playoffs enough. You have to score more points than the other team. So, again, seeing the Titans go away from that 1980s, 3 yards, cloud of dust, caveman football, and go with Callahan, who wants to throw the ball and wants to air it out, especially throw it on the outside. It's just a complete breath of fresh air. And when you look at what the Titans have done organizationally, incorporating more analytics, incorporating more data analysis, elevating Chad Brinker, elevating Rand Carthon, like, the Titans made a decision this offseason that they're done being Main Street. They're going to be Wall Street now. They're done being a mom and pop. They're going to be a Fortune 500. So they're finally just kind of modernizing their entire process, and it goes from the front office to the coaching staff all the way down to the roster now.
Tyler, final question. Look, the AFC is a juggernaut, right? I mean, we ran through it in the opening segment. You pay Calvin Ridley all this money with Will Levis, and hopefully Levis is good because you got Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and Jackson and Herbert and Lawrence and Stroud. I mean, we know all the names. What is the thought up there? I mean, is Tennessee thought there was in a rebuild with Brian Callahan in year one, yet you spend money like this? Do they think they can compete this year?
Ryan, NFL stands for not for long. We just saw, as Jacksonville and Titans fans, we saw the Colts have a top 5 pick, almost go to the playoffs. The Texans have a top 5 pick. They go and win a playoff game. Things change very quickly in the NFL. You have new coaching staffs. There's so much turnover on rosters. Talent moves around so much. The guys come out of the draft ready to produce. So many things factor into it, but teams change overnight. And every single year, there's a team that goes from worst to first in the NFL in their division. So I don't think the Titans are going to be able to become playoff contenders. They still have a lot of holes, or a Super Bowl contender. They still have a lot of holes on defense to fill in free agency. They got, still a big need at offensive tackle that everyone's kind of ignoring now because the excitement with Calvin Ridley. But the Titans still have some major holes. I think it was always going to take 2 off seasons to really have a chance to turn this team into a Super Bowl contender, and that's if they get everything right and everything works out, of course. But I don't think that they're quite Super Bowl contenders right now. I don't think that would be fair to say. But I think it would be fair to say the Titans could have a winning record, go 9-8, 10-7, and maybe make a wild card push. I think that it's fair to expect from the Titans fan base, it's fair to expect them to be a winning football team.
Tyler Rowland is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. Tyler, appreciate you joining me on short notice. We'll do it again soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Take care, Ryan.
There you go. I mean, they're excited in Nashville, and they should be. Look, I know we all, or most of us, hate the Tennessee Titans. I have a passionate distaste for them based on January 23rd, 2000, when they came in here and beat us in the AFC Championship game. And yes, I'm saying us because I was in Section 432 as a 16-year-old, just getting my absolute heart ripped out that day in January in the year 2000. But kudos to them, to Rand Carthon and to Brian Callahan, the coach, the GM. They wanted to make a splash. They did it, and they take Calvin Ridley away from their heated rival, the Jaguars. He now goes to Tennessee. And I'll tell you this, it'll be interesting, the Gabe Davis, Calvin Ridley talk, right? I mean, we'll compare that every day. What did Gabe Davis do here in Jacksonville compared to what Calvin Ridley is doing in Nashville? And certainly maybe that'll get the Titans and the Jaguars on primetime television later on this year when the schedule comes out. Back to Balky for a moment. What do you do now in response? Because I do believe they attempted to match the Titans' offer. They just simply didn't have the dollars, right? Tennessee had a lot more money than they did. Do you make a knee-jerk response and try to go get a Mike Williams, who was cut today in L.A.? Try to make a trade for a Cortland Sutton in Denver. Does wide receiver come back on the market for number 17 in round number 1? Or do you look at it, do you take a deep breath, and do you say, okay, we got Christian Kirk, we got Gabe Davis, presumably we're going to have Zay Jones now, we have Evan Ingram, we have Travis Etienne, we got to do something on the lines of scrimmage still. What's the priority? If you had 18, 19, 20 million that you were willing to throw at Ridley, which is reportedly what they were willing to throw at Ridley, well, then you still have that now. Eric Armstead, San Francisco. Balky's got a relationship with him. Go get him. Mike Williams, we just talked about, from L.A. Could that be Doug Peterson's Alshon Jeffrey that he had in Philadelphia? Go get a Mike Williams type player. If you're willing to throw all this money at Ridley, you got outbid for him, well, then you still have money to spend. I don't know how with what you've done in free agency, but presumably you do. I don't know, Denmark. To me, and I knee-jerk reaction is probably not the best verbiage, but I almost think the Jaguars are going to do something now just to stem the tide a little bit, because there's a lot of negativity because of what happened today with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still free agents like the guy from Washington, God bless, the slot, that's a free agent now that just escaped my mind. And there's 8 receivers that are probably going to go in the draft in the first 2 rounds coming up. I mean, there's so many receivers that are still left that are going to be out there. And they still haven't made a splash in the interior D-line yet either. So
and the interior D-line's concerning because they lost Foley Fatukasi They really haven't replaced him yet. They brought back Jeremiah Ledbetter, but you got to get some big bodies in that defensive line, man. There's no doubt about that.
Curtis Samuel's the guy I couldn't think of.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel's the guy. I've seen KJ Osborne in Minnesota, which I wouldn't mind a guy like that. Mike Williams is probably the biggest name that's out there. Hollywood Brown is still out there, although reports are that may be a Kansas City situation. But, yeah, certainly a day that we will not forget for a long time when it comes to Calvin Ridley leaving. And, again, if you went to New England, that's one thing. The fact that it's the Titans just makes it that much worse for Jaguar fans to stomach. But, again, as I said at the beginning of the program, as much as that sucks, and for you, the Jaguar fans, it does suck to lose Ridley to the Titans, I still think you've had a good offseason. From Mitch Morse to Ronald Darby to Darnell Savage to Gabe Davis, Devin Dumervay. We'll see what happens when the draft comes around. We'll see if they bring in another free agent or two. Don't lose sight of the fact that the Jaguars have upgraded their team in certain areas. They have. And Gabe Davis is nothing to sneeze at wide receiver. I'll be very interested to see how he does with Christian Kirk, with Evan Ingram, with Travis Etienne here in this Jaguar offense. 641-1010 is the phone number. If you want to get involved on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, you are more than welcome to do so. Coming up next, my buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on primetime. You also get him right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon will respond to Calvin Ridley heading to Tennessee. We'll look at Mitch Morse and the rest of the free agent haul as well. That's next. Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark here in Jacksonville, Florida on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's Jacksonville's version of March Madness.
Players Championship.
Catch live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates from the players. Brought to you by
Duck Duck Rooter, Plumbing, Septic Service, and Air Conditioning. And Roundtree Sod.
On 1010XL.
Hacker here, and after my announcement of starting Awaken 180 weight loss, everyone is asking me about it. So let me update you. After just 2 weeks, I'm already down 25 pounds. 25 pounds in 2 weeks, thanks to the good folks at Awaken 180. Am I starving myself? Definitely not. You eat what your coach and you discuss during the week. You get coaching every week. You eat the food. You lose the weight. I've incorporated more vegetables. I'm eating better meats. I'm learning as I'm losing weight. And then after I'm done with the program, you get free coaching for life as a member of Awaken 180. Matt and Mike were right, man. Awaken 180 is simple. It works. I'm living proof. 25 pounds in just 2 weeks. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com. Or do yourself a favor and change your life right now. 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Prime Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Wintertime at the Blue Crab House. You know what that means. Time for oysters. Buy them by the tray, broiled, half shell with Romano cheese, wine topping, or fried. And of course, each and every Wednesday, $1 oysters at the Blue Crab House. Serving Northeast Florida since 1996. Make reservations by calling 260-CRAB. Jacksonville's best, the Blue Crab House, off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
Have Zero Res air duct specialists out, and right now we'll give you $50 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning. Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Any action?
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
That's a big redfish, guys.
With Captain Kevin Faber.
Oh my gosh.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
When you think about a metal roof, think Prime Roofing. Prime Roofing is Jacksonville's local contractor that manufactures, fabricates, and installs metal roofs. Schedule today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Duck Rooter is a full-service plumbing company that's locally owned and operated, fully licensed and insured. We'll be at your home in a timely manner, provide honest pricing, and ensure the job is completed correctly, or we'll make it right. Duck Rooter can handle all plumbing jobs, including repairing broken pipes, clearing clogged drains, to installing new fixtures, water heaters, garbage disposals, and full repipes for older homes. If you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loans. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make that happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com at 904-999-1508. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Picking here, the Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th, the race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, what a week it's been for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've added a lot of talent, no question about it, but the big story, at least from today, is the departure of Calvin Ridley to the AFC South rival Tennessee Titans. Ridley signs a 4-year, $92 million deal in Nashville. $50 million of that is guaranteed for the soon-to-be 30-year-old wide receiver. Let's talk about it with a former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle, my buddy Leon Searcy. You get him every day on Prime Time. You get him right here as well on Hacker After Dark. Leon, appreciate you being with us, man. Your reaction to Calvin Ridley heading to the Tennessee Titans.
He's dead to me, Hack. He's dead to me. No, man, it's very surprising, to be quite honest with you. Everybody had this notion that, Calvin Ridley was ultimately just going to wait around for the Jaguars. The Jaguars had a promissory note to say, hey, listen, we're going to take care of you as soon as the season ends or whatever. And he goes to our most hated rival. He goes to the Tennessee Titans. So, obviously, listen, he had value. I mean, he definitely had value in the free agent market. And maybe the Jaguars just weren't willing to pony up the cash that he was looking for. But ultimately, that's why you have free agency. These other teams, one team's trash or recyclables is another team's treasure. So the Tennessee Titans, they get them a speedster. They get a guy, who was coming off a year and a half away from football. Jacksonville gave him an opportunity. He came here, kind of resurrected his career a little bit, got over 1,000 yards, 72 catches, and he had 8 touchdowns. So, there's nothing to sneeze at. So now he's going to our most hated rivals. So we're going to definitely have to adjust.
Leon, taking me inside the mindset of a player, right? Tennessee is thought to be in somewhat of a rebuild with Will Levis at quarterback. They just, lost Derrick Henry to Baltimore, kind of a changing of the guard, a first-year head coach in Brian Callahan. Calvin Ridley is going to be 30 years old at the end of this year. You would think football-wise this may not be the best move for him, but at the end of the day, I guess that was just way too much money to pass up.
Yeah, it was just way too much money to pass up. Ultimately, he was in a situation where, he blew away at least 2 years of his career, and he figured that you can't ever make that money up. But obviously you can. You go to a team that we think that is rebuilding, but I think that the Titans are looking at the fact that we just weakened the Jaguars. We pulled away their top receiver. Now, granted, their top receiver was based on the fact that we had a lot of injuries this year, but he was the one component on the offensive side of the ball who was productive for this team. How do you get stronger in the division? You weaken your hated rival. And I don't care what Jaguar fans say. Oh, well, Ridley, he really wasn't that much and this and that. But anytime your rival within a division can pull a solid piece away from you, I think the Titans look at that as a win. And now the Jaguars, the Jaguars did have Gabe Davis, who's nothing to sneeze at, who's a very quality wide receiver. But, if we could have had Gabe Davis with a healthy Christian Kirk and Ridley, now you've got a wide receiver room for sure.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy here with us on Hacker After Dark. Leon, we'll get to the free agent haul the Jaguars made in just a moment. There were rumblings late this afternoon before the announcement that an AFC South team had come in. Everybody talked about the Patriots and the Jaguars, and my initial fear was it was the Texans, right? Because you didn't know. We just heard it was an AFC South team, and you would figure it wasn't Indianapolis because of all the money they just gave Michael Pittman. So if you're going to lose him to a division rival, I'm happy it's the team in Nashville, Leon, and not the team in Houston.
Well, yeah, I guess. Right now, if you look at the Tennessee Titans, you would have to say that they lost a lot of key components on both sides of the ball. And you look at that team, but the Titans have always been formidable, no matter what year. They've been on the downslide the last couple of years, but they did beat us the last game of the season this past year. So you would think with the arsenal that we have and the Texans have that the Titans would be somewhere looming and dooming. But I don't care what you say. They took a quality opponent away from us, a quality player away from us from last year. And I'll be very, very interested to see how the Jaguars respond, or do they respond? They might be comfortable with the fact that they've got Gabe Davis to get a healthy Christian Kirk. Maybe Zay Jones will be back healthy and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you addressed maybe a wide receiver in the draft, maybe not in the first or the second, maybe the third round. You get your wide receiver. So, there's no need to panic. I was just a little surprised because everybody was under the notion that, Calvin Ridley and the Jaguars had this, invisible handshake. And listen, I've been in the business long enough to know that there's no loyalty on the professional side, and players are 1099s, they're independent contractors, so they've got to go out and do business by themselves, for themselves, and to themselves. And I'm just glad that Calvin Ridley is the benefactor of making that money with the Titans.
Balky's going to get killed by the fan base for not getting Josh Allen done and losing Calvin Ridley. And I'm not sure if that's entirely fair because, again, they did bring in, to me, 5 very good free agents, which we'll get to in a moment. But Balky's going to get the wrath of the fan base for losing Ridley to Tennessee. The one thing I'll say is this, all right? I wasn't paying Calvin Ridley what Tennessee paid him. $50 million guaranteed for a 29-year-old wide receiver, Leon, to me, is shocking. And good for Calvin, go to the money. But if I'm Trent Baalke, I wasn't paying that to Calvin Ridley. And that's...
No, it wasn't. Listen, they overpaid. They overpaid for Calvin Ridley. But, hey, didn't we have the same reaction 2 years ago when we gave, when we gave Christian Kirk, when we gave him a boatload of money? Now, granted, we had a depleted roster, and we overpaid to bring Christian Kirk here. So, we didn't have anybody better. So, we had to throw a lot of money at a guy. Christian Kirk, when he was at the Cardinals, wasn't a 1. He was a 2. He was very solid, quality wide receiver, 1,000-yard wide receiver, that kind of guy. Matter of fact, he was probably Calvin Ridley without the suspensions. And then that went with that effect of Jacksonville giving them that kind of money. There was a trickle of all other receivers saying, hey, listen, this guy can't make more than me. So the Tyreek Hills of the world, the A.J. Browns of the world reacted to the fact that the Jaguars gave Christian Kirk all that money. So, hey, Calvin Ridley's in the same boat right now. Essentially, the Tennessee Titans valued him a lot more than we did, and they made the move. They pulled the trigger, and they got it done. I'm happy for them. Because you got to remember, this guy lost at least 2 years of money because it was something dumb he did, of course, gambling online and all that kind of stuff. But, as a former player and knowing how hard it is in this business to make money and sustain money, I'm glad that he was able to rebound.
Couple more for Leon Searcy. Leon, let's talk about the guys that did come in. We'll begin with your position. Mitch Morse, a center who played with Josh Allen and played with Patrick Mahomes in his career. Your thoughts about Mitch Morse coming in from Buffalo to now be the anchor at that center position for the Jaguars?
Well, it was needed. I was concerned that the Jaguars were going to run it back with Fortner, and I said they absolutely could not do that. Listen. Fortner did okay, but okay doesn't get it done. And everybody was saying, well, you need to give him another year to develop and get stronger. We don't have that kind of time frame. Not in the NFL. We've got to have guys right now. The window is closing. We've got to be effective at every position, and we don't have time for guys to come along and grow and get stronger and all that kind of stuff. You bring in a guy like Mitch Morse, he is a brute. I said that the center has got to be – the center is the centerpiece for everybody else to eat. He is the bricks, he's the foundation, he's the rock. He's the quarterback of the offensive line. He sets the table for everybody else to eat. And one or two things is going to happen. He has a veteran guy and Sheriff right next to him. This could be the odd couple. It could be a situation where both of these guys don't get along. They're set in their ways, and nothing amounts to anything. But it could be also a situation where these two veterans understand who they have behind them in number 16, and that their careers are towards the tail end. And maybe if they could put something special together, maybe one day somewhere down the road we could hoist that Lombardi. So I feel a lot more comfortable with Mitch Morse at the center position because he's solid, he's a brute, he's physical, and him and Sheriff, maybe they can elevate each other because, quite frankly, Sheriff has been on the downside because of injuries and his ineffectiveness to stop, games and twists and one-on-one battles and getting upfield. Maybe that had a lot to do with Fortner. So we're going to see. There's not going to be any more excuses now. You got a quality center to your left. So I expect running game and twist games and all that kind of stuff that's going to happen in between those two guys to effectively be stifled.
Leon, it appears Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison. If that's the starting offensive line on opening day, are you happy with that?
I'm okay with it. I, to be honest with you, I would like them to go, and I've been a stickler for this guy ever since Matt Hayes showed me the film on it. There's a guy at Kansas State that plays left guard, by the name of Cooper Beebe, who's every bit of 6'4", 335, runs a 5-flat-2, benches the world, pull traps, physical, nasty. That's what we need on the team. To be quite honest with you, we need a little nasty. We need a guy that'll come out as a winner in a bar fight. We need a guy that in the cafeteria that'll kick your tray. That kind of guy. I don't think we have any nasty on the offensive line. And you bring in a guy like that, although he may be a rookie, he could be infectious if he plays the way he's played at Kansas State. I just think that we're missing some attitude on both sides of the ball. Either you get like a Cooper Beebe on the offensive side, or you go and maybe what's his name, the defensive tackle from Texas, Swift. 6'3", 366. I mean, he's a big human being. He's a space eater. You put him at the one technique, I mean, he's going to push the pile. I just feel that on both sides of the ball, which is quintessential, that you got to turn the temperature up as far as the foundation of your team is on your O-line and your D-line. And I just want to bring a little bit more attitude to this team on both sides of the ball.
Leon, as we begin to wrap up, you mentioned Gabe Davis earlier. He is the wide receiver, and you can rest assured now Gabe Davis versus Calvin Ridley will be a conversation every week during the year. What did Gabe Davis do for the Jaguars compared to what Calvin Ridley does now for the Tennessee Titans? Your thoughts on Gabe Davis? The guy hasn't even turned 25 yet. He'll turn 25 next month, and he's already found the end zone 27 times in his NFL career.
Well, he's a game changer. He's an absolute game changer. I mean, you're talking about a guy that can run the route tree, especially the 7 and the 9 route. He could be a difference maker and help this team. I still don't believe we have a number one on our team. We got we got 3 number 2s, but effectively, you got Evan Ingram as well. So I mean, he's not really a tight end. He's a flex guy. So I mean, Gabe, listen, I mean, every week from game 1, there's going to be a tale of a tape between Gabe Davis and Calvin Ridley. For that fan base that wanted Calvin Ridley to be re-signed here, and they not take Gabe Davis, or both of them, the fan base that wanted both of them here. I mean, we're going to essentially week in and week out look at the stats of Calvin Ridley and Gabe Davis and see if this organization made the right decision.
Leon, what do they do at wide receiver? Obviously, this is very fresh, but do you keep Zay Jones now, in your opinion?
Yeah, I thought initially that with Calvin Ridley, if you had signed Calvin Ridley, I thought essentially that Zay Jones would probably be given his exit out of Jacksonville. But now, I mean, Zay's in the picture again. So we'll see. I mean, Zay's biggest issue is just staying healthy. Him staying healthy. He can stay healthy. He's still a quality wide receiver. I mean, with the 2022 season, I mean, he makes some big plays for us down the stretch. So, I mean, and, a lot of people, because of Calvin Ridley, had Zay bounced up out of Jacksonville. So, I mean, you've got to massage him a little bit. Maybe his feelings were hurt with all the talk about him leaving once Calvin really got re-signed.
Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on Prime Time. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark during the football season. Leon, leave us with this. There are a lot of Jaguar fans that are not happy right now, and I'm telling them, it's still a good haul, right? Mitch Morse, a starting center. Gabe Davis, a playmaker at wide receiver. Darnell Savage is a replacement for Rayshon Jenkins. I really like Ronald Darby, kind of an under-the-radar signing at corner. Devin Duvernay is a replacement for Jamal Agnew. Mac Jones is an upgrade, certainly at the backup quarterback spot. The Jaguars keep their second-round pick, so they now have 5 picks in the top 117 in the draft. It should not be all doom and gloom, but I think the combination of losing Ridley and losing him to the Titans, quite frankly, has people in this city pissed off tonight. Your reaction, what is your message to them?
Well, I mean, you got to pump your brakes a little bit. Yeah, it is disappointing that you lost Calvin Ridley. He was essentially not very productive but he was a productive wide receiver and you hate to lose him to your hated rivals, Tennessee Titans. but you did. Bulky, initially before the signing, I had Bulky's at about a B+. I got him at a B-, and not so much the fact that we lost Calvin Ridley, but your best player on your team has not been signed yet, which is Josh Allen. So that's more concerning to me, because I look at the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and everybody was talking about Chris Jones is going to go into free agency and he's going to. No, they found a way to give that man his money, because essentially you got two of the best across the field from each other. You got Patrick Mahomes offensively, the best in the league, and you got Chris Jones on the defensive side, essentially the best defensive player in the league. So they found a way to get it done. I think Jacksonville has got to assess that the fact that Josh Allen may be the best player on your team, even better than, yes, he is the best player on your team. Yes, so you got to pay him. You got to find a way to get it paid. So I don't know what the delay is, but that's the reason why I moved Bulky's essentially B+ to a B-, because Josh Allen is still out there floating in the wind.
Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Leon, appreciate you joining us on short notice, man. Thank you as always. We'll talk again soon, bud.
All right, bro.
And now, the starting lineup.
The Drill. Mornings. Jaguars Today, 10 to noon. XL Prime Time, noon to 3. The Franchi Show, afternoons. And into the night with Rick Ballou. Evenings on 1010XL.
Hacker here, and after my announcement of starting Awaken 180 weight loss, everyone is asking me about it. So I'll update you. After just 2 weeks, I'm already down 25 pounds. 25 pounds in 2 weeks. And to be more detailed, I actually dropped 32 pounds of fat, but I've gained 7 pounds of muscle. Not because I'm working out with Awaken 180, but because I'm more active, walking more, and playing longer with my son, Little Hack. All the rewards I thought would take months to achieve, I'm seeing after only 2 weeks. Am I starving myself? Definitely not. You think this guy would choose a calorie-counting diet? I'm eating to lose weight with Awaken 180, and my results speak for themselves. It's been simple. My coach lays out the plan, we make adjustments, and every week the weight falls off. No pills, no injections. I'm doing it the right way. Do what Mike, Matt, and I did and make the call to Awaken 180. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Whitney Cummings presents the Big Baby Tour 2024.
The crazy thing is that when you're 35 as a woman, they start calling your pregnancy geriatric. I'm sorry that the appropriate age for women to get pregnant in the medical community is at prom in a toilet. I am so glad that I waited to get pregnant. If I had got pregnant even a year earlier, I would have sold the baby for Taylor Swift tickets.
Whitney Cummings, live on stage at the Florida Theater Saturday, November 16th. Get tickets now at floridatheater.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Resolve all your home's plumbing problems today. Fenwick Home Services pros are ready to solve any plumbing emergency that you didn't see coming. From burst pipes to water heater disasters, Fenwick's licensed experts have you covered with same-day, 24/7 solutions. And to help you save on future emergencies, we're offering $50 off any repair. That's right, $50. Schedule your visit online today at fenwickhomeservices.com/radio.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Trivia enthusiasts, Tuesday night is your night. Gather your team and join us at Players Grill in Mandarin or Miramar for the ultimate trivia showdown. It's a whole lot of fun every Tuesday starting at 7 p.m. Are you ready to prove you're the trivia champions? Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
WJXL-FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Are you tired of living with constant pain from torn ligaments or nagging tendinitis and bothersome joint pain? Say goodbye to endless medications and invasive surgeries. Go BioTarget Regenerative Treatment is available only at Injury Care Centers. Their innovative approach helps you recover faster and get back to doing what you love without drugs or surgery. Don't just treat the symptoms, target the root cause with BioTarget. Visit gobiotarget.com to learn more and schedule your appointment today.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the Southeast to offer multi-unit hair grafting and the 45-minute PRP treatments. Grow your hair back. Call now for a free in-person evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. 904-777-4477 or visit hairforme.com.
It's March basketball. That means a host of top teams will be competing for the NCAA title. When it comes to commercial painters, there's also some healthy competition out there. Jason Parker with Performance Painting. To help you know the right questions to ask any painter competing for your business this year, visit performancepaintingjacks.com. Or if you're ready for a friendly quote, give us a call and ask about our free pressure wash promotion for your next project. Performance Painting, quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Exciting news from Leonard Truck Accessories in Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. Stocking brands like Real Truck, UWS, WeatherGuard, Carry-On Trailers, and more. The best deals with the best prices only at Leonard Truck Accessories on Blanding Boulevard. Leonard, your truck, your style.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. With you here till 10 o'clock, 1010XL, 92.5 FM, just like we are every night, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock with you here on Hacker After Dark. All right, take a deep breath, decompress. Today was not good for most people that either support, cover, whatever you want to call it, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's never good to lose a player like Calvin Ridley, particularly when it looked like you were going to retain him, and you add in the absolute salt in the wound that of all teams Calvin Ridley can go to, he goes to the Tennessee Titans. It is a changing of the guard in Nashville, though. I mean, good grief. Derrick Henry gone. Mike Vrabel gone. Ryan Tannehill gone. And now Will Levis. There's already reports coming out. People are wondering, with Calvin Ridley arriving, remember they have a former first-round pick in Treylon Burks. He was a top 20 selection. What does this mean for him and DeAndre Hopkins? Do you really want two 29, 30-year-old plus wide receivers on Tennessee, or do you maybe think about trading DeAndre Hopkins and seeing what you can get for him? I don't know if I would do that necessarily, but that's just people throwing things out right now. It's interesting, the thought of Hopkins and Ridley. But again, and I was clear about this with Tyler Rowland of the Locked On Titans podcast, and we're going to have Blaine Bishop, former Titans All-Pro safety, on tomorrow, most likely. Mickey Ryan, my buddy up in Nashville, 104.5 The Zone. We'll talk to a lot of Titans people over the next couple of days. To me, this is a money grab for Calvin Ridley. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they give him $50 million guaranteed. He signs that contract here. Guaranteed money, $50 million. That's life-altering money for a guy that had never been a free agent before now. Drafted by the Falcons. Never got to test free agency because of the suspension. Traded to Jacksonville. He's 29. He's about to be 30. This is going to be the only time he's going to hit free agency, and my man cashed in. He cashed in, and he took the money, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're not going to win in Nashville. They're not a Super Bowl contender by any stretch of the imagination. Their defense is horrible with some of the guys they've lost. So money grab, but at the end of the day, I don't fault the guy. It's $50 million. Keep in mind, Jacksonville's already done a lot in free agency. Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse, both from the Buffalo Bills. In fact, let's talk about two of the newest Jaguar additions. Vic Ketchman, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, Sirius XM NFL Radio, has covered the league for years. He's now based in Buffalo. Let's talk about the new center. Let's talk about Gabe Davis, who now has a very large role with the Jaguars. We'll talk about Morse and Davis, the former Bills, with Vic Ketchman up in Buffalo next. Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
This doesn't strike you as kind of dumb?
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
We're family. We're going to be doing lots of dumb stuff together.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Wait till Christmas.
Men, suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? Frustrated taking pills that don't work? Here's a message from Prime Men's Medical Center.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough treatments with men lasting longer than ever without pain or surgery.
Call now. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results right in the office. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Wintertime at the Blue Crab House. You know what that means. Time for oysters. Buy them by the tray, broiled, half shell with Romano cheese, wine topping, or fried. And of course, each and every Wednesday, $1 oysters at the Blue Crab House. Serving Northeast Florida since 1996. Make reservations by calling 260-CRAB. Jacksonville's best, the Blue Crab House, off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a cheese negotiator from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Margaret Drent.
How do you like my costume, Bob? I'm Gruyere.
Well, you smell great, Margaret. But here's your question. What's wrong with your air conditioner when you hear this sound?
Oh, that's a toughie. Are you sure you don't want me to tell you the suggested retail price of a box of Rice-A-Roni?
5 seconds, Margaret.
Is it a compressor motor starter failure?
That's right, Margaret. And if you call the coolness experts at Bueller Air Conditioning, we can fix that faulty AC to make sure that you are cool.
It's surprisingly stuffy inside a giant cheese.
You signed the waiver, Margaret.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make that happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com at 904-999-1508. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Everything you need to know about your Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars Today with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Every weekday from 10 to noon on 1010XL.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla? Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
Hicken here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th. The race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
Make your plans now to visit Ronnie's Repair Shop next Thursday and Friday for their annual spring sales event. Find the lowest sale prices of the year on Toro residential and commercial grade large equipment. Mow like a pro with their huge inventory of zero-turn Toro mowers. Financing is available if you qualify. Whether you manage your lawn or a lawn care business, you don't want to miss out on this sales event at Ronnie's Repair Shop on Sunbeam Road, March 21st and 22nd.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, it was a busy day for the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday as they brought in 5 new players in the legal tampering period. All those contracts will be official on Wednesday afternoon. And among the players they brought in, a couple of former Buffalo Bills. Center Mitch Morse and wide receiver Gabe Davis, both coming down from Buffalo to hopefully help the Jaguars get back to the postseason. One of our guys up in Buffalo has been one of our guys for a long time on 1010XL, my buddy Vic Ketchman. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio, WGRZ TV in the Buffalo area. Vic does a little bit of everything, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Vic, how you doing?
I am doing quite well, Ryan. Great to be back with you always.
Hey, Vic, we really enjoy the conversation. Know it's very busy for you this time of year. And look, let's dive right in. A couple of Bills heading to Duval County. We'll begin with Mitch Morse. The Jaguars were looking to upgrade the center position. Mitch Morse became available, and the Jaguars seemingly outbid the Pittsburgh Steelers for his service. Vic, what kind of player are the Jaguars getting with Mitch Morse?
Yeah, I think this is an outstanding acquisition for Jacksonville. I think this was, in many ways, a very surprising loss for the Buffalo Bills. I did not see them, and I wasn't alone. I mean, a lot of long-time close observers of the Bills didn't see this coming, did not have this as a projected release of any sort. You know, you might have seen a restructuring here and there because they were desperately in need of cap space. But Mitch Morse, first of all, I think playing at the top of his game, number one. Number two, the glue, the foundational piece that you want your center to be on an offensive line. But in particular, this line, and especially in the 2023 season, where I think this line had its best performance in many years. Number one, it was there was continuity. Everybody stayed healthy. But back to Mitch, keeping it together, and then beyond the line, an outstanding leader for this team. Really, he gets nicknamed the dad or whatever because he's got that presence about him, even though a young man and certainly in my terms, much younger guy. But when you look at him, you could see wisdom and talk to him, wisdom beyond his years, a real sense of what's around him, an awareness not only about football but life in general. And I think the Jags are going to be very happy to have this guy. The line calls, the protection calls that the center has to make. From everything I could see and then what I gathered from talking with others in and around the team, he did that consistently well and was so important to the success of Josh Allen, the quarterback.
Vic Carucci, WGRZ TV in Buffalo, also Sirius XM NFL Radio. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. And Vic, when I listened to Mitch, he did an interview recently, and he talked about the relationship with Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was his coordinator in his days in Kansas City, and he always wondered what it would be like to play for Doug Peterson when Peterson was a head coach. And then I also think about Morse being in the same huddles with Patrick Mahomes and being in the same huddles with Josh Allen, and how valuable that potentially could be, Vic, for a guy like Trevor Lawrence here in Jacksonville.
Right, I think you hit it right on the head. That's the kind of pairing that I think people should be looking at. You Jaguars observers, fans, when they look at what else can, what's the good of upgrading yourself at center? I mean, beyond the stuff he has to do, blocking, opening up holes for the run, protecting well. It's that relationship with the quarterback. And in Trevor Lawrence, you still have someone forming that identity as a player. And sometimes it comes a lot faster than others. But it's in this case with Lawrence, I think this is obviously a critical year for him and as for the team. But I think Morse can go a long way toward helping that development. And I am sure, without, not trying to get into people's heads from a long distance, but the trust build will happen, I think, very quickly. And it's important for, first of all, the quarterback to know, the guy in front of him is doing all the right things, from that protection calling and identification of what the defense is doing standpoint, but also just reiterating certain things when plays are called, from a week's worth of preparation to go into a game in those critical moments of a game that he's turning to that guy. And, I'm going to share one enduring thing. And I think this because a lot of people saw it, not just nationally, but worldwide. That whole scenario of Damar Hamlin, that game in Cincinnati, one of the lasting images of that horrible moment where, a player literally just his heart stops on the field. And all those players are so shaken. Among the people that really was a beacon for his teammates was Mitch Morse, and especially Tre'Davious White. And there is a photo that was taken of Tre'Davious just burying his head in Mitch's chest in the middle of the field, and Mitch comforting him, wrapping his arms around him like the dad or big brother that he is. And I'm telling you, that resonates. I'm sure there are players in Jacksonville on this team now that that saw that and know they're getting somebody really special.
No, that's a great point, no question about it. That was an unbelievable moment. I do remember that photo of Tre'Davious White and Mitch Morse amidst the Damar Hamlin situation there. And Vic, final question when it comes to Morse. 32 when the season starts, right? He's not 27. And looking at him, there doesn't seem to be injury concerns as of late, although I've been told there were maybe some concussion issues in the past. How is Morse from that standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, the concussion issues, you can't ignore that, obviously, and never should. And there were enough of those, I think, to raise some concerns. Again, for his sake, I'm knocking on wood because you don't want a person to have to deal with that in any way. But in football, it's a reality. But I know, again, last year was a particularly healthy year for not just Mitch, but the entire offense. So I do think the Jags are getting a healthy football player. I don't see any underlying thought that the Bills move away from him because of health concerns. You mentioned age, you're out of that sweet spot at 32, but you're still a viable football player, and the right kind of length of contract, I think, is in place for him, number one. And number two, the idea that you get an athlete whose strength is, number one, that ability to be strong, but also mobile, movable. And I see that offense and what Doug Peterson likes to do with a lot of movement that's the right fit. And I know Mitch knows that because he knows how Doug thinks about offense and how many dynamic types of plays, and you do too. You watch that Jacksonville team enough. The things you can do with your quarterback who has the athleticism plus the arm that Trevor Lawrence does.
Vic Carucci is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You can hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio. You can also see him, WGRZ TV there in the Buffalo area. Vic, Mitch Morse is not coming to Jacksonville alone. He's bringing Gabe Davis with him, as a pair of Buffalo Bills have agreed to terms here in Jacksonville. And the one thing about Gabe Davis, people remember that playoff game against Kansas City. Here's what I know. Jaguar fans had some trepidation about this on Monday when they look at his overall numbers. I don't know how many times in free agency you can sign a 25-year-old wide receiver that has 27 touchdowns already in the National Football League. The guy, to me, Vic, is an absolute playmaker when given the opportunity.
He is. And look, if you ask Buffalo fans, I don't know how heartbroken they necessarily are about his moving on. I think they did want to see more from him on a consistent basis. And that therein is maybe the rub that, there'd be the times when he'd do spectacular things and then times when, you see him drop passes that just shouldn't be dropped. I don't think he's the latter on in a way that you'd have to say, oh boy, is this guy gonna really be a letdown here? It's a smart investment for the reasons you stated at the top: age and the production potential that's there, at least. And again, putting him on a team that will, I think, make the most of offensive talent in the passing game. A coach who knows how to do that. Again, for fans of teams other than the Bills who watched this guy at his best, you're not forgetting that Kansas City playoff game, 4 touchdowns. And how does he get those? Because the ball is the target consistently that people look at would be Stephon Diggs, and that teams are going to give the most attention to. I think in Jacksonville, Calvin Ridley, others that'll probably draw some added focus on defense. Gabe Davis is going to be there as if he's not I would guess that, probably a number 2 for the most part, but certainly a 1A at the very least of the kind of targeting that they'll do with him. And in free agency, it just made sense for him to get what he was going to get from another team, and for Buffalo to look at their receiving core and look toward the draft, with 28th pick in a year where the receiver position is deep, and just basically go younger there with this thought in mind: replacing Davis, but also in long-term replacing Stephon Diggs.
Vic, I thought you made an excellent point in that a lot of people here in Jacksonville, and I made this comparison last night, a lot of people here in Jacksonville remember the Christian Kirk signing, and they had trepidation about that. And I brought up at the time, well, Kirk was never a 1,000-yard receiver. That's all you heard. And I said, well, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins was in Arizona. And Kirk comes to Jacksonville and obviously has been a great success. To me, I'm just very curious when Gabe Davis gets away from Stephon Diggs and becomes more of a target here, if that could improve his production. I don't understand 48 catches is the max for a year, but I am curious now that he's not going to be necessarily behind Diggs. He might get more targets, more opportunities.
Yeah, and look, every team basically is going to do it differently, philosophically, and depending on the types of players they have on their, types of targets. Again, quarterback's ability, it always starts with the QB's ability to get it there. I am not a believer that you try to upgrade yourself a receiver for the sake of making your quarterback better. He's the one who's got to do that with your receivers. But that said, your point is well taken. I think there should be more chances for him in an offense where it might be a little more even between him and the rest of the receivers. And again, defenses having to maybe pick their poison as far as who's going to get most of the attention. But with Gabe Davis, you've got a bigger guy, which is, I know, something that Doug Peterson favors. Bigger, athletic kind of guy. Can get separation, not necessarily with just speed, but mostly with that ability to win the hand-to-hand combat, to high point the ball, to respond, run those smart routes and get let the quarterback throw him open. And then here's the other point, and I'm sure you've heard this already and talked about this. There may not be a harder worker, and the Bills will say this. Brandon Beane reiterated it. I think Sean McDermott did too when we were at the Combine a couple of weeks ago about Davis. Hardest working player you're going to see. The day when he was drafted by the Bills, he literally, there was a video out of him put out on social media of him immediately starting to train and go through an intensive training once he knew he was joining the NFL. This is the day that he was selected. So, and that wasn't just for show. I know he is all business. You're going to like having him around there. He's, a quality guy. As I say, he's got a lot of real team first sense. And that would be my last point regarding both players, Morris and Davis, coming from the Buffalo system where Sean McDermott put such a high value on that. They do draft or sign in free agency or whatever to a profile, and that profile is put the team before yourself.
Final moments with Vic Ketchman, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You also hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio. Vic, final question. Buffalo as a whole, they've had a lot of losses, a lot of salary cap issues, a lot of guys that were there for a while that have been released, like Mitch Morse, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer down the line. But anytime you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, you never can call it a rebuild. Is it a retooling in Buffalo? I mean, what's the thought there coming into 2024?
Yeah, look, I think it's retooling is probably a better word. It's as close to hitting a reset as you can when you have a franchise quarterback, because the teams that have that guy almost are never really rebuilding or resetting. But this is you can't make any mistake here. A core of this team they've moved on and they've gotten, and then even though he was only there for a year, Leonard Floyd was an important part of it before he signed with San Francisco. And so they turn around and keep AJ Epinesa in free agency. This was yesterday, but I'm going to say that you can't just simply say goodbye to these core pieces on offense and on defense. You mentioned Jordan Poyer. I don't see Micah Hyde coming back, and it was the Hyde-Poyer pairing in the secondary in that safety position for the better part of 7 years. That really was the foundation of the defense. You don't say goodbye to those people and not expect something very different to occur. And it'll be interesting to me to see, this team gets younger. Does that require some growing pains? That growth, that development thing that sometimes takes time, doesn't happen naturally. But again, you're in every game, you're competing in every game when you've got a top flight quarterback. And I think that's basically the attitude of the people who are making the calls there.
Vic Ketchman. Vic, I know it's a busy week for you. Thank you so much for taking time out. Jacksonville at Buffalo this year. That should be a lot of fun as Mitch Morse and Gabe Davis return up there to the state of New York. We'll certainly talk to you that week and hopefully well before then. Thank you, my friend.
All the best, Ryan.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Brunell with time again, drills it deep, caught, touchdown, Jimmy Smith.
1010 XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
Firefighters, paramedics, police officers. They take care of us, and at AMCO, we're proud to take care of them. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. As an essential business, we work on every kind of car repair with flexible financing and extra safety precautions. Essential, reliable, trusted. That's the men and women who are there for us, and it's our honor to be there for them. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia. AMCO Transmissions and Total Car Care.
Did you know Prime Roofing manufactures, fabricates, and installs their metal roofs? If you're thinking about a metal roof, think Prime Roofing. Schedule an estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Establishing a regular sleeping pattern is crucial for your well-being. This includes going to bed at roughly the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning. You may even consider turning off all electronic devices an hour before bedtime. Ever wonder why you can't fall asleep after staring at your phone right before bed? Studies show that the light from your phone actually decreases melatonin production, therefore causing disruptions to your sleep throughout the night. Get some rest before the big game. Go Jag.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoors Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hey, Hicken here. You know I'm a hometown guy. There's nothing like home in Jacksonville, Florida. What a great place to live. Spring is here and everything is green and blooming. But that means I'll have to cut the lawn soon. It also means that we'll need to do some deep cleaning inside the house. That's where Zero Res comes in. Zero Res can clean your towel graph, the carpets, the area rug, furniture, and more. Right now, they're offering 25% off towel and grout cleaning. Zero Res, man, spelling forwards or backwards. The right way to clean.
Zero Res. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon for QC Kinetics. This is the time of year to enjoy life. Stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you love to do this spring. Call QC Kinetics now, set up a free consultation. Call them at 904-274-5522. They've got 2 great locations, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. Go see them. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's a fact. QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. So you can walk and run and climb stairs and play golf and move again pain-free. 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics. Call them today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Well, the Jaguar offseason has taken, I guess, a dramatic turn a little bit with the news that Calvin Ridley is not only leaving the Jaguars, but he's going to Nashville to the hated Tennessee Titans, a 4-year, $92 million deal. $50 million of that is guaranteed. Tennessee had a ton of money this offseason, and they spent a lot of it on Calvin Ridley. One of my guys when it comes to the Titans is my buddy Brad Steele. He's host of the Two Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans, and he's kind enough to join me here on Hacker After Dark. Brad, how we doing?
Well, there's an adrenaline rush going on right now for me. Kind of, I posted a video about this, but I was literally going for my daily walk just a bit ago, nice and breezy here, and was getting toward the end of my walk. And you know how free agency is. You got to check your phone every 2 minutes to make sure you don't miss anything. And I thought I was looking at a fake account, like some fake Twitter account, when I saw the news that Calvin's coming to Nashville. I was absolutely stunned.
Well, look, you do a podcast for the fans, right? That's why I like your perspective. So you've already interacted with fans. You're not a quote-unquote member of the orchestrated media necessarily, like I am, right? I'm throwing stones in a glass house there. I mean, what's your thought on this as a Titan podcast host, a Titan fan, if you will, about $50 million guaranteed for Calvin Ridley?
Well, I mean, we briefly spoke about it on, before we went on the air here, and I said, he better be ready to put his best foot forward because, he's getting paid, and I knew, going into this offseason, there were a few things that were a high priority. I'm a big believer, if you want your young quarterback to succeed, you got to get help. You got to get weapons. You got to get the best weapons you can find. That's, no matter who your quarterback is, no matter high of a prospect they were, if you want them to succeed, you got to help them. And Will Levis is going to need that help, in addition to DeAndre Hopkins, who had a good year last year. So in that regard, yeah, I'm very excited. I'm excited to have Calvin Ridley. I'm excited. Obviously, you guys know they're in Jacksonville. Talented guy, brings a lot of good things to the table, and it is the risk you take when you look at a contract like that. It's, somebody's got to pay him. Somebody's got to do it. And for right now, I'm glad it's us, and I hope he lives up to that contract because it is a big one, and that's a risk you take, I guess, in the NFL.
Brad Steele, the host of the Two Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. Brad, I'll tell you what I can't fault Ridley, right? I mean, he's Hollywood Hogan here in Jacksonville, as you can imagine. It's one of the greatest heel turns of all time. I literally, on my show earlier this week, said he could go down as one of the most beloved Jaguars of all time. And not only does he leave, he goes to Nashville on top of it. So, I mean, it is an unbelievable Hollywood Hogan-esque heel turn. But I can't fault him. He lost 2 years of finances, right? I mean, with the suspension and everything with that. And if somebody's willing to pay you $50 million guaranteed, brother, more power to you. So, from that standpoint, I cannot fault Calvin Ridley for taking the money. The one thing I will say is, you look at the AFC, and I think you'll even admit this too. I mean, right now, where is Tennessee in the pantheon of AFC teams with a couple of 30-year-old, wide receivers? I don't know if they're necessarily going to be contending for a championship with Ridley there. I mean, that's the hope, but let's be realistic. But, again, I can't fault Ridley for taking the money to go to Nashville.
Yeah, and you got to remember, first of all, I love the reference to Hollywood Hogan because I saw your tweet right before I joined you here. It is. It's very NWO-esque. But I will say this. I think the Titans needed to make some dramatic moves because new head coach, pretty much new GM. I mean, he's been there a year, but he's still new, and it feels like without Vrabel, he's finally getting a chance to, run this thing. It was kind of 50-50, it felt like before. And so I think they're really trying to change the identity, and that's what you got to remember. They're trying to change the offensive mindset. They're trying to change the identity of what the Titans have been known as. Obviously, Derrick Henry's a Raven now, and he's been the identity for 5 years. And the offense has been very dated, very behind the times, very old school, not just in Derrick Henry's era, but since the Eddie George days, the Titans have been known as kind of an old school mentality. So I think a lot of this is we've got to show that it's a new day, and we're going to modernize this offense. Brian Callahan, new head coach, and so I think they're trying to send a message, and they sent a $50 million one.
Brad Steele, the host of the Two-Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. Brad, quickly, Calvin Ridley's obviously the huge deal everybody's going to talk about. Tennessee has been very active. Tony Pollard, that was a head-scratcher for me, honestly, but Tony Pollard, if he stays healthy, is a good player. I really like Cushenberry, the center they got from Denver. You and I talked at the end of the season. Jacksonville 2 years ago had $1 billion and spent it on the likes of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and, Zay Jones, Foye Oluokun, etc. Tennessee had a lot of money, and, Brad, they've certainly spent it here in the last couple of days.
Yeah, and I like you. I liked the Cushenberry deal because if you've watched the Titans' offensive line, it just you wondered if they might spend every bit of cap space they had just on the offensive line. Certainly seems like their first-round pick will be a tackle now that they've got Ridley. But, the Cushenberry deal, as far as Pollard, that was a head-scratcher for me, too. I think I knew they were going to get another running back at some point. I didn't think it would be like we're going to pay to get a guy like Tony Pollard to pair with Tyjae Spears there. But I will say, after seeing the details of the contract that just came out today, I feel better about it after seeing that because on the surface, you see 3-year, $24 million, and you're like, good gosh, they're paying this guy a lot. But once you see the intricate details, and a lot of times it's like that, you need to see how much is guaranteed, how much of a cap hit is it, and there's a lot of details. After seeing that, I feel better about Pollard. Awuzie, we picked up that corner from Cincinnati, had a big hole in the secondary that still needs fixing, but I like that. So, it's one of those things. It's always exciting when you have money, and so we'll see how things continue to go.
It'll be a big time in Nashville. Calvin Ridley, and make no mistake about it, they are celebrating not only acquiring Ridley but hurting the Jaguars. I think, and I said this earlier tonight, every week it'll be Gabe Davis versus Calvin Ridley, right? What did Gabe Davis do in Jacksonville versus what Calvin Ridley did in Nashville? That's at least something I think we've lost sight of, at least the fan base, because, Brad, as you can imagine, they're pissed down here right now. But you did sign a wide receiver that's going to turn 25 next month that already has 27 career touchdowns in Gabe Davis.
Yeah, that was I know I'm here for you to talk to me and ask me questions, but I was going to ask you how you felt about Gabe Davis. I saw that contract, and initially, you wonder, was he successful because of Josh Allen, because of having that great quarterback? But, you said this on Twitter yesterday. Gabe Davis has had a ton of success. He's put up some great numbers, and he's a young guy. So I was going to ask what your thoughts were on him.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. But again, Jaguar fans that we're talking to tonight, they're not going to be very happy about anything for the next couple of days till they get the Ridley, it's crazy because, and again, and you can talk about this on your podcast, and I'm sure it'll make the rounds in Nashville. Jaguar fans 3 or 4 months ago, you know what they were saying about Calvin Ridley? He's an underachiever. He drops balls. He's running wrong routes. What are we doing? And I don't know what happened in the last 66 days since our season ended in Nashville, but Calvin Ridley became the most popular figure in Duval County after people were bad-mouthing him for basically the entire year. So I don't get how that happened. I'm happy for Calvin. I've said that. I'm not happy that he went to Tennessee, Brad. I'll be honest with you. But it'll make for some compelling games, as if Tennessee-Jacksonville wasn't compelling to begin with. Boy, this will just add to that twice here in 2024.
Yeah, man, it's going to be Hogan versus Sting.
That's exactly right. You can check Brad Steele out. He is the host of the Two-Tone Talk podcast covering the Tennessee Titans. Brad, where can people, if they want to get reaction on Ridley from the Titans' point of view, where can people down here check out your podcast?
Well, the Two Tone Talk podcast, you can search for it on YouTube. It's on Spotify, SoundCloud. I've only had the podcast for about a year and a half, about to pass 700 subscribers on YouTube. So still in the early going, but would appreciate any support. And on my main channel, which is just my name, Brad Steele, I do a lot of music and stuff on there, but I'd put some Titan stuff there as well if you want to check that out as well.
Hey, Brad, appreciate you joining us on short notice. Say hello to Calvin for us up in Nashville. You and I will talk soon.
For sure, man. Appreciate it.
And thank you to Brad Steele, host of the Two Tone Talk podcast, for joining us here tonight on Hacker After Dark. Brad's podcast covers the Tennessee Titans. And look, man, they are fired up in Titan land and getting Calvin Ridley at the 11th hour, seemingly swooping in. It looked like it was Patriots and Jaguars, mano-a-mano. Tennessee comes in at the end and gets Calvin Ridley. Not only do they get Calvin Ridley, they hurt the Jaguars in the process. Now, I do not believe it is catastrophic by any stretch of the imagination. When you still have Travis Etienne, you still have Evan Ingram, you'll have a healthy Christian Kirk. Oh, by the way, you signed Gabe Davis, who had 27 touchdowns in Buffalo, and he's not even 25 years old yet. What does this mean for Zay Jones moving forward? I think that's an interesting question as well. I think the reason this one stings is perhaps avoidable if you would have gotten Josh Allen's deal done. Trent Baalke did not do that, thus they could not franchise Calvin Ridley. But who knows? If they franchised Ridley, maybe they'd go out and sign Gabe Davis. You never really know what the thought process was, but certainly now, as if Tennessee and Jacksonville needed any more intrigue, there's going to be a lot of good old-fashioned distaste when the Titans and the Jaguars get together twice here in 2024. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very, very busy, what is today? I don't even know. Wednesday. Boy, it was a busy day. A Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Thank you to Brad Steele, host of the Two Tone Talk podcast. Thank you to Vic Ketchman of longtime SiriusXM NFL radio contributor. He's a pro football Hall of Fame voter. Vic has joined me for years. He's certainly one of our guys up in Buffalo as we talked about Mitch Morse and Gabe Davis, former Buffalo Bills that are both on their way to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thank you to my buddy Leon Searcy. You get Leon every day on XL Primetime, and he's always kind enough to join us as well here on Hacker After Dark. And thank you to Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast, as we once again got the Tennessee perspective of Calvin Ridley leaving Jacksonville and heading to Nashville. We will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Of course, first round action of the players is tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great time out there. Conference tournaments all over the place tomorrow. Florida State tomorrow afternoon, Florida tomorrow night. So there will be a ton to get into, and we do hope that you join us tomorrow. Dylan Denmark was your producer this evening. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will do it all over again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Play 1010XL Fantasy Golf at the Players.
What a week!
Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. If your golfers score the lowest at TPC Sawgrass, win $1,000 of jewelry from Beard's Diamonds. Enter at 1010XL.com.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy, classic wings. Made to order.